The block raised you before the system got a chance to. And by the time the system arrived, the school, the job centre, the social worker with the clipboard, you already had an education. You already knew how the road worked. You already knew who the mandem were. You already knew that loyalty on the block is worth more than anything they were going to teach you in a classroom. The problem with that education is what it costs you later. A roadman is not a job title. It is not a career choice. It is what happens when an environment shapes a person before the person is old enough to shape themselves. When the ends, the block, the estate becomes not just where you are from, but what you are made of. This is not a story about criminals. It is not a glamorization. It is the story of what the road actually costs, told level by level, the way nobody in the music videos has the time to tell it. This is your life at every level as a London roadman. Level 1. You grow up on an estate in South London. Peckham, Brixton, Lewisham, Hackney. The specific postcode matters more than most people who have never lived inside one understand. The postcode is identity. It is the first answer to the question of who you are, before you have had time to develop a more complicated answer. The estate is a world. It has its own economy. The corner shop where everyone knows your mum. The chicken shop where the mandem link up after school. The stairwell that the older boys have claimed and that you navigate with the specific, careful geography of someone who has learned which spaces belong to whom before anyone explained it to you in words. The flat is small. Your mum works. She works constantly, in the specific way that certain mothers work. Jobs that pay enough to keep the flat and not enough to change what the flat represents. And the hours she works mean that the estate is, functionally, your parent for a significant portion of your childhood. The estate teaches you things. How to read a room before you enter it. How to know whether someone is a problem before they become one. How to carry yourself in a way that communicates the right things to the right people without saying a word. These are not useless skills. In a different environment, channeled through a different set of opportunities, these skills, reading people, understanding social dynamics, knowing how power moves through a space, would be called emotional intelligence and leadership potential. On the estate, they are called survival. And you have learned them so completely that you do not notice you are using them anymore. Level 2, the mandem. This is the thing that people outside the ends consistently misunderstand when they talk about road life. The mandem is not a gang, not at the beginning. At the beginning, it is what friend groups are everywhere. A collection of boys who grew up within walking distance of each other, who went to the same schools, who know the same people, who share the same reference points and the same humour and the same understanding of how the block works. They are your people. In a world that often does not offer young men from estates a great deal of the specific kind of belonging that humans require to feel stable, the mandem provides it in full measure. You would do anything for them. This is stated cleanly and without drama in the culture of the road. Loyalty is the primary currency. Not money, not status, loyalty. And the specific power of that loyalty, its completeness, its requirement that it be maintained above all other considerations, is exactly what makes the mandem both the best and the most dangerous thing in your life simultaneously. Because loyalty without direction is not a virtue, it is a mechanism, and the road knows how to use that mechanism. Level 3, you do something. We are not going to be specific about what it is, because the specific thing is less important than what it represents. You cross a line, not dramatically, not with a sense of occasion. You do not wake up one day and decide to become a different person. It happens in a specific moment, on a specific evening, with the mandem around you, and a specific kind of pressure that is not stated as pressure, but that you feel in every direction simultaneously. Someone needs something done, you do it. It is over quickly, you go home, and in the days that follow, you discover something that no one warned you about. Nothing changes. You expected something to be different. You expected the world to look different, or to feel different. Well, for some visible evidence of the line you crossed to be present in your daily experience. There is none. The block looks the same. The mandem treat you the same. If anything, with slightly more of the specific warmth that the road offers people who have proven themselves. Your mum comes home from work. She does not know. She will not know. This is the thing about the line you just crossed. It is invisible from the outside. Only you know it is there, and you will spend the rest of your time on the road carrying the knowledge of it in a way that accumulates weight so gradually that you almost never notice it getting heavier. Level 4, you trap. The economics of it are not complicated. The formal economy of the estate, the jobs available to a young man from this postcode with the qualifications the school managed to provide before he stopped attending regularly, in a market that has never been particularly interested in investing in people who look like him and come from where he comes from, offers a specific ceiling. The road does not have a ceiling, not a visible one. Your boy pulls up in something that costs more than your mum makes in 18 months of working jobs that are slowly taking years off her life. He is 20. He is from the same block. He went to the same school. He left before you did. The mathematics of the road versus the mathematics of the legitimate economy are not complicated when you are standing on a corner doing them in your head at 17 years old, with no particular vision of a future that the legitimate economy has ever made available to you. You trap. Not because you are bad, not because you lack intelligence or ambition, because the trap is, at the specific intersection of your postcode and your age and your economic reality and your social network, the thing that makes the most immediate sense. The part that doesn't make sense comes later. The road always shows you the bill eventually. It just waits until you have run up enough of a tab that the bill is impossible to ignore. Level 5. County lines. This is the part of the road that the music does not make glamorous, because there is nothing glamorous in it. You are sent somewhere. Not London. Somewhere outside London. A town in the home counties. A seaside city. Somewhere that the road has identified as a market and that needs someone to service it. Someone young enough to be disposable. Known enough to be trusted. Loyal enough not to ask the wrong questions. You are 16. You are in a city you have never been to before. You are in a flat that is not yours. With a phone that is not yours. Servicing customers you do not know, with product you did not source, for people back in London who are not here. If something goes wrong, if the police arrive, if a rival shows up, if the flat gets taxed, you are the person who is present. They are not. You understand this. You understood it before you got on the train, but understanding something intellectually and feeling it at 2 in the morning in a strange flat in a city where you know nobody and cannot call anyone who would actually be able to help you, those are two different things. You serve the line. You come back, you are paid, and something about you that was present when you left is slightly less present when you return, in a way that is not visible on the outside and that you do not have the language to name yet. The road takes before it gives. It has started taking. Level 6. The music. Because the road always had a voice. Grime before drill. Wiley, Dizzy, Skepta, men who came from the same estates, spoke the same language, and found a way to convert the specific texture of their lives into something that the whole world eventually wanted to hear. Then drill, the specific sound of South London translated into a global export, carried by artists who are rapping about the same streets you are standing on, the same corners, the same dynamics, in a language that people in America and Japan and Nigeria recognized, not because they lived it, but because the emotion underneath it, the frustration, the loyalty, the grief, the defiance, is universal, even when the postcode is specific. You have bars. You always have. In the mandem, in the stairwells, in the free sessions that get recorded on phones and posted and sometimes watched by more people than you expected. Someone with a following shares one, then another. And the specific possibility that has been abstract for years, that the road could produce something other than the road's usual outcomes, that the talent you have been pouring into survival might have a different application, becomes, briefly, real. You are not famous. Not yet. Maybe not ever, but you can see the door from where you're standing for the first time, and the door changes the calculation.
Level 7. The ops, opposite numbers. Rival postcode. The boys from the other ends who your mandem have a thing with that predates your involvement in it by years, sometimes by a generation, whose origin point nobody still active can fully articulate beyond the general geography of it. They are from there. You are from here. That is the whole explanation available. The drill music made the ops visible in a way that previous generations of road conflict were not. The specific naming and claiming that drill's competitive energy produced meant that beef that might previously have been contained within a block became public, searchable, amplified by millions of views. This made things more dangerous, not because the conflict was new, because the visibility changed the stakes. You move differently now. Not with fear exactly, with the specific heightened awareness of someone who knows the geography of risk and navigates it the way you navigate the state's stairwells, with knowledge, with caution, with the permanent background hum of alertness that people who have not lived inside it cannot fully understand, and that people who have lived inside it cannot fully turn off. You are careful. Being careful is not the same as being safe. The road does not do guarantees. Level 8. The names. By the time you're 20, you have been to more funerals than most people attend in their entire lives. Not strangers, people from your block, people from your year at school, people whose mums knew your mum because the ends is small like that. And everyone's history overlaps in the specific way that dense communities' histories overlap. The grief of the road is not like grief in other contexts. It does not come with the permission to stop and fall apart. You cannot take a week off the road because someone you love died on it. The road continues, the phone still rings, the mandem still needs you, present and functional, because the world that produced the loss is still operating and does not pause for the processing of it. So the grief accumulates, unprocessed, carried, alongside everything else you're already carrying from level 3 and level 5 and every other level on this list. And the weight of it reaches eventually a specific point, not a breakdown, not a dramatic moment, just a quiet, undeniable heaviness that makes you ask a question you have been avoiding since level 3. What is this actually costing me? Level 9, the police. This is a level that comes differently for different people and at different points on the road. For some it comes early, a stop and search at 15 that introduces you to the specific dynamic of being a young black man in London in relation to an institution that has historically not been designed with your safety as its primary concern. For some it comes later, a proper investigation, surveillance, the specific and suddenly very real experience of discovering that the road you have been operating on has been watched more carefully and for longer than you knew. You are charged. The legal process is slow and expensive and requires a solicitor who your mum cannot easily afford and whose fees represent a financial emergency layered on top of everything else this lifestyle has already taken from the household. You sit with it. The waiting is its own thing. The months between charge and trial, during which the normal shape of life is suspended and replaced by the specific suspended animation of someone whose future is being decided in a building they have no control over. The outcome matters, but so does what the waiting did to you. The road was always going to intersect with this building eventually. You knew it. You knew it at level 3. You carried that knowledge all the way here. Level 10, the choice. It does not arrive with a speech. It does not arrive with a mentor figure who says the right thing at the right moment in the way that films about road life tend to require. It arrives quietly. The way everything on the road arrives. You're sitting somewhere. Your mum's kitchen, a waiting room, a cell, the back of the chicken shop with a mandem at 2 in the morning. And the accumulation of everything on this list reaches a specific mass. The funerals. The county lines flat at 2 in the morning. The thing you did at level 3 that you have been carrying. The music. The door you could see briefly, that may or may not still be visible from where you currently are. And you make a calculation, not an emotional one, not a moral one necessarily, a practical one. What is the road giving you versus what it is taking from you? The answer to that question, if you are honest about both sides of it, does not favor the road. It has never favored the road, but you needed enough levels of it to accumulate before the answer became impossible to dispute. The choice is not between the road and something easy. There is no easy option. The choice is between the road and something harder in a different way. The specific difficulty of building something legitimate without the network, without the credentials, without the head start that the boys from the other postcodes had before any of you started. But with the specific skills the road gave you, the reading of rooms, the understanding of people, the knowledge of how loyalty works and what it costs and what it builds. The resilience of someone who has been carrying weight since level 1 and is still standing. Those are yours. The road gave you those, and the road cannot take them back. Every roadman starts the same way. A yute on an estate who knows the block better than they know the classroom. The road is not one thing. It is not the music videos, and it is not the moral panic in the newspapers. It is an environment that shapes people with extraordinary efficiency, that produces loyalty and intelligence and resilience and community, and also funerals and county lines flats, and the specific carrying weight that accumulates from level 3 onward. The people who came out of the ends and changed what British music sounds like to the world, Stormzy, Skepta, Central C, Dizzy Rascal, a generation of artists who converted the specific texture of this life into something the whole world wanted to hear. They did not escape the road. They translated it. And for every person who finds that translation, there are others who are still on the levels this video describes, still carrying, still making the calculation. The ends produce this. The ends is still producing it. Subscribe. Tell me which level hit different. Drop your postcode in the comments. I want to know where you're from.